Should we get straight to business?
I think we should.
We'll go for our first film, The Legend of Tarzan, swinging its way into cinemas this week. Well, surely that line there can't be as bad as what's about to happen. Let's hear a clip. We're also going to hear from some of the stars of the film: Alexander Skarsgard, Margot, Robbie, Christoph, Waltz, and Samuel L. Jackson.
My king's army is due in 6 days. All I've left to do is deliver Tarzan to Chief Margot. I'm aware of his obsessive desire to kill your husband, but I've yet to discover the cause. What did Tarzan do?
Killed his only son.
Oh.
And get ready, because that is nothing compared to what he will do to you.
Your husband's wildness disturbs me more than I can easily express. Whereas your spirit...
A normal man can do the impossible to save the woman he loves. My husband is no normal man.
On my couch in South Stockholm with my father when I was probably 5 or 6, the old Johnny Weissmuller version of the story. My dad grew up loving the old black and white Tarzan movies and introduced me to them when I was a kid. So that's kind of how I fell in love with Tarzan and the jungle.
I hadn't actually seen those versions of Tarzan. I'd seen the Disney animated version, which I loved, and I don't know how old I was, but I was a kid. But yeah, no, I loved it.
Of course, you're entitled to call it nasty piece of work or villain or all of that. It's not really what I'm looking at. I look at what the character I'm asked to play is supposed to be doing in a story. And causing problems, as you can tell, all over the world, especially recently to a degree that makes you gasp. Causing problems is setting things in motion. That's what a dramatic situation is. It's a clash of intentions. So you can't have a hero run around being a hero and, not having to overcome any obstacles and any, grandiose heroic tasks to fulfill. You need the problem first for someone to rise to the occasion and become a hero. So that's the function, more or less.
It's going to be kind of enormous. I mean, huge herds of beasts and flocks of birds and, big elephants, and talk about the danger of various animals that we run into, the size and kind of danger of real lions. And, we got, I don't know how many different tribes in here that are, people who are painted different colors, who have different kinds of hairstyles. I mean, rivers and trains and there are all kinds of things going on. So, the adventure and, I guess, enormity of what we know as Africa, will be a huge part of the film. It's definitely a distinct character.
Alexander Skarsgård, Margot Robbie, Christoph Waltz, and Samuel L. Jackson talking about The Legend of Tarzan.
Yeah, so everybody loves the original Disney film.
Yes.
It's classic.
Well,
it's great.
The Disney, the original goes back to the black and white days, as the clips referred to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The
one we know is the Disney one.
The Tarzan story is great. I really enjoy it. I think it's got a lot of potential. And now we're back in the current era with another. I mean, to be honest, there is a lot of ground for a Tarzan film nowadays, because obviously there is a lot of sort of socio-political things that they could get in there, and this film does attempt to, but I'll get to the success of that in a bit. But basically, in the new one, it's been 10 years since Tarzan was in Africa, where he grew up as a... Obviously, if you don't know the story, Tarzan is a feral boy whose family died, and he has been raised by a pack of chimpanzees and gorillas who become his surrogate family.
He's got weird hands, hasn't he?
Yeah, his joints have changed. His joints have changed. His joints have changed because he's walking on all fours.
Yeah.
Could you just not stop looking at his
That's
hands
a weird
all the way
CGI
through
effect,
the film?
wasn't it?
Yeah, because it literally has like a close up of his hands, and you sort of see his hands as they bend and they become like paws. It's like
it's weird.
Yeah,
it's icky CG.
Weird.
Yeah, but it's weird.
Sorry,
so
go on.
so he left the jungles of Africa behind for sort of safer life, I guess, as with his new name of John Clayton III, Lord Greystoke, and his wife Jane, played by Margot Robbie, by his side in London. Basically, he is told to go as a trader missionary of Parliament to Africa, where the Belgians have a captain out there called Leon Rom, played by Christoph Waltz. He's been sent by the King Leopold of Belgium to sort of mastermind the growth of the Congo region. However, there's obviously tricks and lies and deception behind, and Tarzan is being used as a pawn to get a lot of diamonds, basically, from Leon Rom. And you know what?
I missed all that.
Oh yeah, but that was basically it. He's being used as a pawn to give to a tribe a lot of diamonds that Christoph Waltz wants, so then he can pay an army of mercenaries who can, I guess, do slavery and things.
Yeah.
But I mean, this film is just so desperate to be Batman. It's so desperately wanted to be Batman.
It is Warner Brothers, so same studio.
It's a film that isn't as fresh or dynamic enough to be enticing to adults, and it's not as fun or frenetic enough to be enticing to young people. What audience is this film trying to have? I just don't understand. It has such an awkward tone throughout the entire film that to sum up the entire film, they have the classic Tarzan roar in there twice, both off screen, as I must say, and it basically sounds like the noise I make when I stub my toe by accident after I've just woke up in the morning.
And what does that sound like?
Ow. No, I'm not going to try and create it because I'll probably rip me to your throat.
I just go really Geordie and say I just go really Geordie and say things I can't say on the radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of
basically what it is. It's like a guttural. Like I thought it was Joe screaming when I heard it for the first time. That's why I started laughing, because it sounds like you're screaming.
The tune.
But no, that just sums it up really. It's so desperate to be dark and gritty. I mean, what did you?
Dark and gritty Tarzan. Could you even believe it?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, it tries to involve its story in these socio-political terms. It's got a lot of slavery in there, like storylines, obviously, because Tarzan, when he was in Africa, and Margot Robbie, she was a missionary, so a teacher for a tribe in Africa, sorry, and they were involved with the tribes, and they're all, there's a lot of moments where they talk with the tribe and are involved with the tribe as characters. But to be honest, like the fact that they deal with the slavery in such a, it's just sort of like cack-handed, and like there's so many shots of, I know what Robbie Collin was meaning now, there's so many shots of just like the tribes cheering on like a mountainside, get Tarzan, yeah, Tarzan,
like Bring It On, but in the Congo.
Yeah, but like essentially, but like the whole film is just so desperately trying to be edgy and dark and like Tarzan Begins, but it's just really not, because every single cue that it tries to steal from Batman, whether that be the score which tries to rip off some of the best parts of Hans Zimmer's soundtracks, to the story beats that it tries to capture with he's finally finding out where he belongs, and he's got to protect the people. It's so desperately wanting to be something that it's not, and because it's so awkward in its tone, it just can't succeed at all, and it turns out to just be a bland, boring bit of a mess of a film, to be honest.
The things I hate about it the most, I should say at this point that I did fall asleep for quite a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm a hay fever sufferer. I take medication that makes me drowsy. I can't help it. Mm-hmm. But also, this film is so boring it made me fall asleep.
Yeah.
Like, Notes on Blindness, which we'll get to, I didn't fall asleep in that. So clearly, it's not the medication. It's definitely just that this film is really boring. It's got one of the most murky, boring, horrible sort of colour palettes you'll ever see.
Yeah.
For a film that's in the jungle, but no, it's dark and gritty, so it's all got to be grey and like sort of dark brown. Like the leafy trees, they're not green enough. Like, there's such a little detail. Alexander Skarsgård as Tarzan. We haven't got the actual Tarzan yet. How boring.
You would think in a place that, in a film that has such amazing exotic landscape as the Congo, these amazing portraits that they can have in the film, they have such a pointless colour scheme.
That's what I just said, but yeah.
I know, but like that's what I know, but that's what I'm just saying. I'm just following up what you said, but yeah,
it nailed it home.
But yeah, Alexander Skarsgård as Tarzan is just he's trying to be brooding and conflicted because he doesn't know whether he wants to be that man back in
Those
London
abs-
or it's
those
to be the
abs,
wild
though.
man.
There's one shot of just pure nipple, and it's
Yeah,
like,
and like the camera pauses on his expression so much to like get the angst in his face. He's got the proper conflict in his face.
and what emotion it is
But then
that sort of glazed.
and that all just
Tarzan
ties in
look.
beautifully in the last 20 minutes, which is some of the worst filmmaking I've seen this year because it drops all pretense of being this dark and gritty film. We've beaten this over the head a million times now, but the fact that it just tries to be, it drops all pretense of that, and it basically has the gorilla brother that Tarzan has basically like corral all of the other jungle animals and throw them at Christoph Waltz's villain at the finale, and it's like absolutely ludicrous in every way, and not in a good kind of ludicrous.
It's no Planet
The
of the Apes,
CGI
is
is
it?
naff.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, the jungle swinging. I mean, David Yates' direction, okay, I guess it's fine, but some of the CGI is terrible, and the swinging of Tarzan through the jungle is really, really disorienting, and that was to a massive negative to a film. But I mean, they've got no chemistry.
No,
Robbie
no,
and
no,
Skarsgard,
no.
they look awkwardly put together. Robbie is, I can't even mention it because, okay, fine, I guess. She's doing okay, but she's got nothing to work with. Christoph Waltz is just sitting there wiggling his eyebrows, talking about how Tarzan disturbs him, sipping his tea and eating his steak.
Playing himself, essentially. Yeah.
There's quite literally like an almost 5-minute scene where they're just sitting eating dinner and wine while Margot Robbie tries to escape, and it's so irrelevant.
And at this point, Liam falls back into his gentle slumber. Yeah, it's wonderful.
By blockbuster standards, there are far worse. But
Yeah,
to be honest, this is just another piece of dirge that has just got nothing creative and
Okay,
not a single.
Good point. Anything good about it at all?
I don't know. I can't even say. Like usually, some films like NAF films have like at least a good soundtrack. They've got like
It's not
a few
even,
good
it's not even
facets.
funny, is it?
It's not. It's like there's one like really awkward joke about licking gorilla. Their private parts.
I remember
But
that, yeah.
and it's such awkward. It's Sam Jackson because he's cracking wise, while Alexander Skarsgard's like brooding in the distance for the entire film, and it's such an awkward combo. I don't know. Nothing works properly. I mean, it just sort of exists. It's exactly what you expect from trying to make Tarzan dark and gritty.
To finish up, David Yates is obviously doing Fantastic Beasts Ends the Year. Should we be worried?
I don't know.
To be fair, like he's before this, he's done Harry Potter.
To be fair, Harry Potter is a lot more fantastical.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot more of a palette. There.
I don't think we should be too worried. I think we should just sort of ignore Tarzan and just sort of let it slowly sort of leave.
I think a lot of them probably just did it for the money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's inoffensive.
Everybody, from what I've seen, it looks like everybody's just like, yep.
Yeah.
It's just so boring, and I just cringed for most of it, and that last 20 minutes is just absolutely horrific. Like, the final showdown with Waltz and Skarsgård is really, really laughable, and I will be watching that on YouTube when it comes back.
Yeah. Well, I heard the the famous Tarzan Raw, and it was bad.
You've just got to watch the actors try and sell the movie on talk shows.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm most interested in. That's
Margot Robbie and Christoph Waltz were both on Jimmy Kimmel at various points last week, and they're both just sort of like totally nonplussed, just sort of like talking about anecdotes and stuff, and it's like, and Tarzan's out on Friday. It's like,
so would you say it's like a marketer's film, not like their film?
I don't think they cared about it.
It's not terrible. It's just so awkwardly judged. The story and the themes are all muddled, and it's desperately trying to be something it's not.
Well, there you go.
So,
Legend of Tarzan is in cinemas now, but it doesn't sound like a recommend.
Not a recommend, no.
I wouldn't recommend.
I'm guessing you wouldn't recommend it since you fell asleep.
Too boring. Don't care.
Don't blame you.
Anyway, that's Tarzan.